It's fantastic to have you, Tom.
Thanks for the invite, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here and to share our learnings from the agency as we've grown over the last few years.
I want to talk a little bit about your personal story. I'm always interested in, how do agencies start? How do they come about? What drove you to start an agency?
About 6-7 years ago, I took a job head of marketing for a toy company. And I kind of landed Amazon on my desk, but I couldn't really find an agency that I thought had the breadth and the depth of experience and expertise that I wanted to be able to meet my ambitions as head of marketing and the kind of global aspirations that we had for the brand at the time. So we decided to do it in-house. I tried to learn everything as quickly as possible. In the end, we had a really successful time of it. That quickly became sort of a third of that business's revenue within sort of 18 months. I started freelancing, then starting to work with new clients in different categories, seller, vendor, so on and so forth. Really opened me up to sort of all of these possibilities. But I was able to sort of provide that service, and we had a great time with those first few clients, and actually they're still with me today. And so that developed into the agency.
Can you paint a bit of a picture of what your agency looks like today, Tom?
So we're sort of organized into 3 team functions. So we've got our creative team, which are working on listings, storefront, ad creative, so copywriters and graphic designers. We've got our marketing function, which covers PPC, DSP, SEO, listing optimization, external traffic into Amazon. And then the final column, which is the area that I head up, is the account strategy. So we are there to develop the strategy, but we also do a lot of the operational work. So the kind of day-to-day management of Seller Central and Vendor Central, inventory planning.
What does it look like in terms of numbers-wise? And are they all UK-based? I mean, we're all kind of remote-first businesses these days.
So from day one, one of the sort of central tenets of the agency, and as I learned from being in-house, was that we had to have a global aspiration. So we're an international team. We're dotted about all over the place. It means I've been able to recruit the best in the market, and we've got a really diverse team, which I think adds a lot, not only for our kind of client work, but also as an organization, to have lots of different experiences and backgrounds within the team. So we're up to 16 people now. We're recruiting at the moment, so we'll get up to about 20 by the end of this year.
Let's start with structure. How do you think about roles in your agency, maybe today, and how's that evolved?
This is a very, very simplified version of what's happened with Amazon over the last, as I kind of 7-8 years. Us as a full service agency, so we do everything. We're kind of one-stop shop for our clients. That means that we need to have specialist skills in all of these different areas, because it's a full-time job to keep up with advertising changes and do a really great job with that. What this is all about really is delivering the best results for our client.
How do you set responsibilities and accountabilities?
Visualizing that and discussing that, displaying that, taking people through is really critical. And also for our clients, so actually saying to them, like, here's your team, here's your account strategist, they're your main point of contact, they're responsible for this, this and this. You've got your PPC specialists, and then everyone else, here's the things they work on.
How do you demystify, or how do you untangle that challenge?
It's like an ongoing process to optimize that. The way to sort of solve that really is actually before you start working with the client. It is to make sure that they understand, when you're talking about your fees, what they're going to get from those fees, and maybe give them a few different scenarios. Here's roughly the amount of time we would spend on it for this amount. Here's roughly the amount of time we can spend on it for this amount. And here's the kind of pros and cons, and here's the trade-offs of those different approaches. Clients will sort of tend to be able to work that out for themselves.
Are there rules of thumbs or tricks or maybe tools that you use to plan that workload and the resourcing against that?
There are things that we do obviously to plan resource and manage resources. So one is to have a project plan with the client. Month 1, month 2, month 3. These are the key initiatives. This is what we need from you to be able to do these things. This is roughly when they'll be completed by. And then internally, we use Asana, so we can sort of keep track of what's happening, what the status of that is.
What is your secret sauce to keeping clients happy?
This is definitely something that we've learned along the way. It's a learning curve. Kind of 6 fundamentals. Now, there's much more to client management than this, but these are sort of the things that we've sort of found to really help us, that kind of make the difference, really.
What are some of the hardest learnings you've had to take in since you started your agency?
I think in the early days, there are things that you just don't know that you don't know. There's always something new, or there's something you're just not aware of. But being very mindful of that. So actually moving the conversation onto being proactive and solving it, basically, and communicating that to them.
Where do you see the industry evolve? And someone like FordeBaker, where do you think you'll be in 3 to 5 years?
So right now we're a full service Amazon agency. So anything to do with Amazon, we can take care of it. And so the natural step really for us is to do other marketplaces, and we're talking to clients about that. But I think like the real evolution for an agency like ours, that's where it's going to go. Having that sort of depth, the bigger budget advertising across retail media. We're always looking for new ways to evolve.
How do they get hold of you? What's the best way to get in touch?
They can book a free consultation with me through our website. So they go to FordeBaker.com, which is FordeBaker.com. You'll see the book consultation link in the top right, or grab me on LinkedIn. There's 1,000,001 Tom Bakers on LinkedIn, so search for Tom Baker.
You're the one.
Yeah.